Caitlin Clark, remember that girl, that superstar playing for Iowa that ended up going to the Final Four? She's got one of the hottest selling jerseys in sports, y'all, according to Fanatics, led by the one and only Michael Rubin. The deal is the richest sponsorship contract for a women's basketball player. She deserves it!
Why would a superstar like Caitlin Clark take her $28 million Nike deal and make it about someone else? This historic endorsement isn't just about money or sneakers. It's an incredible story of loyalty that left the WNBA in awe. Her unforgettable gesture to Sophie Cunningham at a Nike event brought everyone to tears. But what's the full story behind this shocking move, and how is it already changing the way athletes think about team dynamics? You need to hear what really happened to understand why the league is calling this unprecedented. Caitlin Clark's star has been rising so fast, you almost forget she's only just starting her professional career. She's the kind of player who can completely take over a game, not just with her scoring, but with how she gets everyone else involved.
Clark now has an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that will include her own signature shoe. Caitlin Clark continues to set the bar when it comes to her impact on female athletics. Go out there, compete with her, try to bust her up if you want to, and all of that stuff. Just don't hate on the acclaim that she's getting.
Fans around the world have taken notice, and so has the business side of the sport. It wasn't really a question of if Caitlin would land a major endorsement deal, but when. And when Nike offered her a $28 million contract, it was clear they weren't just signing an athlete. They were betting on an icon. This was the largest endorsement deal ever for a WNBA rookie, cementing her as one of the faces of not just women's basketball, but basketball as a whole. You'd think that kind of spotlight would naturally be all about Caitlin, her story, her game, her potential to dominate the league for the next decade. That's how it always goes, right? Big contracts like this are designed to remind everyone who the future star is. But then, just as everyone was expecting Caitlin to enjoy her moment, she flipped the script entirely. It started when she invited Sophie Cunningham to Nike's big announcement event. Sophie is a solid player, respected in the league, but on paper, she's not someone you'd expect to be standing side by side with someone like Caitlin at an event like this. That's exactly why no one could have predicted what happened next. The event itself was already a spectacle. Nike pulled out all the stops, premiering a short film about Caitlin's journey, from her backyard hoop in Iowa to arena-packing college games and jaw-dropping highlights. There's always something emotional about seeing a player's rise told this way, but the tension in the crowd shifted when Sophie appeared in the frame. At first, the footage showed her competing against Caitlin, battling on the court like rivals do. But then, it pivoted to something unexpected. Moments of them talking during games, hyping each other up, even exchanging respect in post-game interviews. The build-up was impossible to ignore. Something big was coming, and everyone in the venue could feel it. Then came the announcement. As Sophie stood there, clearly caught off guard, Caitlin took the mic and revealed what no one saw coming. Not only was she using her new deal to launch her first signature sneaker, but that shoe was being released alongside a limited edition for Sophie, her own player edition model. For the first time in WNBA history, an athlete was willing to share the opportunity of a lifetime. Sophie looked stunned, almost frozen for a beat, before walking up to hug Caitlin. The applause was deafening, cameras flashing everywhere. But the focus wasn't on Caitlin anymore. She had shifted it to Sophie, and in that moment, it felt like the entire league paused to soak in what had just happened. When the night was over and the videos hit social media, reactions poured in. WNBA players, legends, and fans were left speechless, calling Caitlin's decision revolutionary. The move wasn't just about sneakers. It was a statement, saying loud and clear that lifting someone else up doesn't dim your own light. Caitlin didn't just prove her loyalty. She redefined what leadership can look like, even as a rookie. That's already earned her respect that goes far beyond the court. But why would Nike take this kind of risk? Sneaker deals are about star power. So why change the formula now? Nike has always been about building legends. Think about Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, LeBron James. Each one of them larger than life, and each one cemented in sports history with the help of Nike's hyper-focused marketing. For decades, the formula has been simple. Find the star, showcase their journey to greatness, and connect the swoosh to their story. It's no exaggeration to say this strategy has shaped the way we see sports stars, turning them into icons. So, when Caitlin Clark landed her historic $28 million Nike deal, it seemed like business as usual. Another megastar, another campaign. But then came the shock. Nike didn't just celebrate Caitlin. They shared the spotlight in a way no one expected. Caitlin's decision to include Sophie Cunningham in the deal wasn't just unconventional, it felt risky. Sharing a massive endorsement platform is unheard of in sports. It challenges everything these sneaker deals are supposed to symbolize. Instead of standing alone at the top, Caitlin practically pulled Sophie up beside her, breaking the mold Nike had spent countless campaigns creating. For any other brand, this move might have been dismissed as a gamble too big to take, but Nike leaned into it hard. Their new Built for Each Other campaign centers entirely around this decision. The ads aren't just about Caitlin's skills, they highlight her connection to Sophie. One of the most talked about moments is the campaign's flagship commercial, where behind-the-scenes footage of the two players is interspersed with clips of them going head-to-head on the court. The voiceover doesn't talk about dominance or individual glory. Instead, it focuses on loyalty and lifting each other up. Loyalty sells, sisterhood sells, and authenticity is gold in a sports world drowning in scripted PR and empty slogans. That's the tone Nike's running with, and it's resonating in ways few could have predicted. Why would Nike take such a leap, though? It's not just about celebrating teamwork for the sake of a cool campaign idea. There's a bigger shift happening with audiences, especially younger ones. Today's fans want more than highlight reels and stats. They care about what athletes stand for: loyalty, authenticity, and stories that feel real. These things matter now in a way that wasn't true 2 decades ago. Connecting to a younger, more values-driven audience isn't just a bonus anymore. It's necessary. For Nike, backing Caitlin and Sophie didn't just align with their messaging, it future-proofed their brand. But there's another layer to this. The WNBA isn't like the NBA, where superstars dominate headlines daily. The league thrives on community and camaraderie, the exact kind of culture this campaign celebrates. Nike betting on that isn't just a smart marketing move, it's reshaping how people see the WNBA, and it's working. Analysts are already talking about how campaigns like Built for Each Other could attract new fans who are drawn to the idea of players who genuinely support each other. It's not just about the sneakers, it's bigger than that. This move shows Nike isn't just banking on Caitlin Clark's talent, they're banking on a cultural shift, and by the looks of it, it's paying off. The campaign adds a fresh layer of excitement to the league, sparking renewed interest in a sport that's long deserved more visibility. But what does this mean for the rest of the WNBA? How are players and teams reacting to this unexpected shakeup? Professional sports have always thrived on competition. It's the heart of the game. Individual stats, MVP races, contract bonuses, it all reinforces this idea that success is about rising above everyone else. For years, the culture of sports has celebrated the lone superstar, the franchise player, the one who carries the team. Loyalty, when it exists, is usually confined to staying with a team or honoring a coach. Rarely does it cross into sharing the spotlight, especially not when multi-million-dollar deals are involved. But Caitlin Clark's decision to center Sophie Cunningham in her Nike campaign has managed to challenge that entire framework, and the ripple effects are showing up across the WNBA. To understand the scope of this shift, just look at the raw reaction from Clark's peers. According to reports, Alyssa Thomas couldn't hold back her admiration after the announcement. She told Fever staffers that what Caitlin did for Sophie gave her a level of recognition that most players don't receive in their entire careers. That's not just a compliment. It's a direct acknowledgement of how competitive cultures in sports often limit how far a teammate can truly be elevated, especially when players like Sophie aren't the ones commanding national headlines. Clark broke that narrative in a single moment. And it wasn't just words, it's action too. Around the Fever, you could immediately sense the impact the gesture had on the team's dynamic. One insider described how the entire team seemed to be walking a little taller after it happened. It wasn't about shoes or PR campaigns anymore. The recognition Sophie received uplifted everyone, turning her individual moment into a shared victory for the roster. That's rare in a league where headlines usually focus on who's the best scorer, who's in the MVP conversation, or which rookie is making waves. Caitlin, just by virtue of pulling another player into the spotlight, shifted the energy completely. Then came the buzz around the Sophie PE sneakers. It's one thing to drop a team-inspired design, but these weren't just fever-colored knockoffs of Caitlin's shoe. They were unique, stitched with the phrase, "No backing down," across the heel. These words tied directly back to Sophie's playing style. Gritty, relentless, and underestimated. The design wasn't just about authenticity, it told a story. And fans? They responded immediately. Social media posts featuring the sneakers lit up, proving that a move like this didn't just resonate on an emotional level, it also worked commercially. People wanted to support what this gesture represented. The most interesting part is how players across the league are reacting. Conversations are starting to bubble up about using endorsement deals, or any spotlight, really, to lift up teammates in similar ways. It's not an easy thing to do. Individualism is baked into the culture of professional sports for a reason, but observers are already pointing out how Clark's actions could inspire players to look beyond the usual scope of personal victories. By celebrating others, you're redefining what leadership means. You're prioritizing the team without sacrificing your standing as a star. What's happening in Indiana now feels like the beginning of something bigger. This one act of loyalty has created ripples that extend beyond Caitlin and Sophie. It's proof that sports don't have to fit into the same old structures where only the brightest stars get rewarded. Players across the WNBA are taking notice, and it's hard not to imagine how this could carry over into future campaigns, player dynamics, or even how teams are built. Leadership in sports isn't just about who's putting up the biggest numbers anymore. It's about who's creating opportunities for everyone to thrive. The WNBA has always been a league rooted in community and camaraderie, but this moment takes that foundation to another level. As Clark's gesture inspires more players to think about their platform as something bigger than themselves, we're looking at a cultural reset. It's making the WNBA more exciting, relatable, and crucially, more human. The real question is, how far could this go? Could this shift influence how sports as a whole operate in the future? That's the conversation Caitlin Clark just started, and it's only the beginning. Caitlin Clark's $28 million Nike deal wasn't just a win for her. It was a defining moment for the WNBA. By sharing her spotlight with Sophie Cunningham, she turned an individual milestone into something much bigger. That decision wasn't just about kindness, it was a statement on what leadership in sports can look like. Loyalty sells, sisterhood sells, and authenticity is gold. It's a cultural shift that breaks tradition, changing how players, fans, and even brands think about success. This story shows that sports are more than just highlights. They're a stage for values we choose to uplift. What story will you celebrate?